introduction now. Oh, I can now.
We can loop back and we want to understand what is a loop back. Yeah, it's a framework. Framework is a little less qualified word for that, but yeah, you can say it's a node API framework. So, okay. Let's start with introduction. So my name is Devendra Gupta. You might know because of a lot of invitations are coming in. I just wanted to present the loopback framework, but the question is why loopback, right? Before we get to know that what is loopback, we should understand why loopback. There are a lot of frameworks that we have. We have Express. Generally, everybody who is working out of Node.js, they just grab Express and start working on. So why loopback? It could be any other framework. The intent of using loopback is always to save time. All right. So this is a famous quotation. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of. Time is what we want most, but what we use most. Anyways, this is all gone. So how much time we can save? Actually, we can literally save 1280 hours per year if we adopt for loopback. So this number is not looking big, but if we actually look at in terms of 10 devs, 10 developers, and this is a estimation. If you put on $20 per hour, you can save this many dollars. It's huge, right? So the motivation from the business perspective is already there, right? Now let's talk about the technical. How actually it can save time. What are the features that it has that can help us to save time and do the production faster? So I'm assuming that a lot of applications that we build are built in a fashion of CRUD operations majorly, and there would be somewhere here and there we also write some special methods, right? I'm only talking about remote, as in server. Okay. On the client side, of course, you are free to do any of the development, but Loopback is more concentrated towards backend plus frontend, and that's why you will see it as an ecosystem, not only as a framework. Right? So it has got a lot of facilities that you have to handle if you start working out of Express, all right, or any other framework for that matter. If you have heard of Sales, Sales is actually taking care of a lot of boilerplate using scaffolding, but then it leaves you over there. And then you have to understand the whole process of scaffolding that it is using, and then only you can contribute your own methods to it, right? But Loopback does not drop you there. It will take you from end to end, okay? It will help you to create your remote methods if you want. So you can include any third-party plugins and the components. And there is an active community which is working out of Loopback, and you can have a lot of ready-made connectors or generators, okay? That's what you need when you are working out of an ecosystem. Okay, I just wanted to highlight the important ones out there. You can see authentication, authorization, and permissions. It has got built-in access level controls built in. So you don't have to actually create all those authorization, authentication, permissions ground up. You can just turn on and off, just configure them and they'll be there. And then you have SDKs for client side as well. So mobile and client as an Angular. So you can just run an SDK and it will give you an Angular service that you can actually call from your controller, Angular controller. And that's it. You will have the data in the controller. And then you can write your logic on the controller and that's it. Okay. And then it has some enterprise tools also, because Loopback is actually supported and authored by Strong Loop. Strong Loop is an IBM company now. Strong Loop is the same company who has actually maintained Express as well, if you've heard of. All right, so that's the parent company. Now, Strong Loop has got an ARC, a visual API composer, and a command line code generator. So we'll see the command line code generator, but the other tools are enterprise level tools. Okay, so you don't have to really go to command line. You can just open up a browser window and you can actually code your server side coding from there. And that is the beauty of it. All right, and you can see that there are other features that I have not really mentioned over there, but there are a lot of other features that comes in. All right, now we know that learning, understanding Loopback will definitely help, but let's get started. Okay, so we'll see the installation, how to do the installation. Installation is very, very simple. You should have Node version 4 and above. Okay, if you have 4 and above, you can actually look at Loopback 3.x. So 3.x is the current latest version of Loopback. So you have to do two things. One is the command line installation. So you need to first of all install loopback-CLI. So it's its own CLI using which you can call all the generators. And then the core and connectors are actually specific to your projects. Okay, so Loopback comes with its core, and the framework is so diversified that it does not actually brings all the non-required code with it, right? It is like if you need a specific item or a component, then only you have to bring it. And that's why you can just have connectors, and generators will actually comply to the connectors.
And that is also mandatory. Core and connections.
Core will automatically come in when you create this. Okay, when you create, you install Loopback CLI and you create an app, then core will automatically come in, and then depending on what you do with your app, the connectors will also get installed. Yeah, and that's why I don't have any special comment for that, but you should know that how the framework is divided. So we'll discuss it more in this. So Loopback architecture. So let's first understand the architecture so that we can actually understand Loopback and an application that we have created out of Loopback. So, okay, this is not very clean, but you see the model is the core heart of Loopback. And then you will see an abstraction, which, so you can have models, okay, defined over there. And it does not bind the model with the data source, okay? So you have some level of abstraction there, which means that you can connect to any kind of data source, be it like SQLite, or be it like, MySQL, be it like MS SQL, be it like Oracle or IBM DB2 or whatever. There are a whole lot of connectors which are there to which you can connect to. And then you have 3 other core areas where you have services like push, okay, for example. So you can have a push notification system using this connector here, for example, or offline sync. I'm sure you cannot see it as of now, but yeah, they are there. And then you have integrations with like SOAP. You can actually integrate with SOAP service, okay, which is already pre-existing SOAP service. You can integrate your Loopback application with that. You can consume it, and then you can relay it to the UI. Or otherwise, if you want to have your own data source, you can have these many connectors like MongoDB, MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, MS SQL. A lot of other connectors are there. All right. So these are providing abstraction, all these services data. And on the other side, you'll see these are the tools that it complies to. On the dev side, when you are developing an application, you must be using all these tools over there, right? And we'll talk about these one by one. And finally, you will build an API endpoint, and that would be obviously consumed by different type of clients, right? And there also, like I said, it does not drop you there. It provides you like API gateway if you want. So which means that you can actually build your microservices. Okay. So it's there, and then you also have OAuth2, which is again, you can build your own OAuth server. Okay. If you see the passport is here to provide OAuth login to a provider. Like for example, your user want to log in using Google, then passport will help here. But this OAuth2 is actually telling you that you can actually build your app plus the OAuth server, right? So this is how you can do, and this is purely clients. All right. Okay, this is, I'm just defining all of them, just put in place so that anybody reading these slides can understand. And this is how the flow goes in, just to understand flow much better. So this is client, of course, will request, and then we have Express middleware. By the way, I've not talked about it, but Loopback is another framework written on top of Express. So whatever knowledge you already have with the Express is not going away. All right, you are still utilizing the same knowledge. Loopback is creating code over on the top of Express itself, right? So suppose you want to go and write down your own middleware, for example. Okay, you can still create it, develop it, and hook it up into the Loopback. So Loopback, its own generator and connectors are there, but if you want to also contribute for your application or the community, you can still do so. So, and that is why the flow is like, you still have a routing mechanism in here. And of course, routing will figure out which API to connect to. Route-based model validation. So we still have model validation in place. In between this validation and routing, we still have role-based access control, like I said. So you can hide, let's say for example, some of the routes from general public. Okay, so you don't want to disclose post methods to general public, but that is always okay. Everybody can access that. So you can just define your own custom controls, custom access level controls, and then you can have further validation on the rules. Okay, these are model validation. So for example, a model data is coming in and you want to validate, you don't have to write down your own validator for that. And a lot of if and else that you write will be gone away. And then the data access, this is also built in. So you don't have to write down your code for query, create, read, write, join, whatsoever. All right. All the relations are managed there. So if you have a product and a store, two models, you don't have to fetch in separately and join them. You can say, okay, bring me products, and whatever relation you have specified in between product and store, it will take care of those relations and it will bring those stores also. And then, all right. That's why aggregation of data access layer is there. And then like I've already defined that we can have any type of data sources, and yes, so you can still point out to multiple data sources at the same time. You can still put in some models into MongoDB, but others in Postgres, all right? Or maybe a REST API. So sometimes you have to consume a REST API, for example, bank payment gateway, all right? You don't have to go away out of Loopback to integrate that. You still have a REST connector. You use the REST connector, it will start consuming those endpoints, and you can have data from there. This is a typical Loopback application data flow. Okay. When I say deep dive, of course, we have to have the hands dirty. So let's start. I have already installed the Loopback CLI, so I don't have to do it. So to start,
so this is a command editor. If you look,
this is command prompt. So we'll do everything from the command prompt, right? No editor. You can open editor. You can attach your project to editor, and we'll go through that. Okay. So the very first command that you will issue is lb. It's a generator. It's written on top of Yeoman generator, if you've heard of. So if you say LB, it will create a new application for you. All right. Let's create a new application. What do you want to pick it up? Just delete any existing one if it has. Yeah, it has. Okay. All right. So now I can create hello world. Okay. And then that was the name, and this is the directory. If you want to leave it as it is, you can say enter. Now it is asking you to choose the version. Okay. We want to go with the current, which is obviously the latest one. And then you have three options here, in fact, four. So one is the plain API server. It will not give you anything of sort of client. Okay. So it's only pure API server. This is empty server. It will have empty API and nothing else. So you have to develop your own things, right, on top of it. A hello world, a project containing a controller and some message and a single remote method as well. All right. So we'll take that one. And then last one is notes. So it's again a project example that you can take, but it is in the memory database. So it is not connecting to any other data source apart from memory. Obviously, you can add data sources there. So as soon as you do it, it will create all these files that you can see on the prompt, and it will do an npm install at the same time. Okay.
So those will be stored in a hello world folder.
Yeah, they will be stored in the hello world folder. Hello world. Okay, here. So as you can see, it is not yet done. So if it fails over here, sometimes it can fail because of, let's say, access right is not there or something else. Maybe it needs sudo or something. You can again issue npm install with sudo or something. Okay. Finished. It has said, okay, three options. You can go to your directory, create new models, and fire up your server. But yeah, let's
to create, we use LB.
Yes, not anything to create a new project. So here you have the new project created for you. You can just see it for a while. Obviously, node modules are nothing but node modules, of course, but one thing to note is it has this loopback framework. The loopback framework is here, okay? And these are other connectors that are required by default for any application to run. Okay, and then this is server. Common does not have anything as of now, right? Oh, this is because our choice of application. Client does not have anything. Server has got server.js, a little bit of code here, and some JSON files. These all JSON files are for configurations, okay? And some boot directory, they are the scripts which get executed when you boot the server, all right? Okay, so let me take you through this. So this is creation of an app, right? How much time do you think it has taken? 5-10 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to explain the structure here. So this is project metadata. This is server start script. You can anytime say here. And these all are configs, as you can see, API configs, and then data source config, middleware config. Like I've told you that you can create your own middleware and connect here, right? You can do that. And these are app startup script. If you want to create a new startup script, you can still create and put in here in this directory, and they will get executed once when your services are firing up. All right.
Can we rename any of the files? No, right?
No, you should not do that. Yeah, you can rename these files with the environment. So suppose you want to say middleware.production.json, you can still do that. Right? And middleware.development.json, they will be automatically picked up according to the node env environment variable. All right. Okay. Of course, next part is to add a data source, right? So by default, if we see here, we have a data sources, and by default, it gives you a memory database. What it does mean that as soon as your server is off, everything that you have stored is gone. It's the memory database. Okay. You can still put up a new option here, which is file. And if you put up this file here, from file, you can say db.json, any name. Okay. So it will create this file here. Okay. So you can see the transactions, but still, as soon as your server is off, the data is washed off. All right. So of course, as you might have imagined by now, is that this is of no value for a production. So you should add a new data source here, right? Either you can do it yourself, or you can use this command, lb data source, right? So let's do it from the command line. We'll say lb data source. And there you have to specify the typical parameters for a DB, right? We have some issues. Okay.
Semicolon.
Yeah, probably I have done something here. Oh, okay. So what we have to do is we have to go into the directory. Hello, world. And then I have to say lb data source. And then it will ask you all those parameters, like I said. So the name that you want to refer in the loopback framework. Let's say I will say MySQL DS. So I have MySQL running here. This is my MySQL running here.
So already existing database, we have to use it.
Existing or non-existing. But when the server will be up and it will start saving the data, obviously it would need those parameters.
Okay.
So by now you can provide any parameter, which could be fictitious, but at the time of runtime, it would need them as an actual. Okay. So the name could be anything. I have given MySQL DS, which means MySQL data source. Okay. You can give anything. Now you have to select all these which are already there. Like I said, that you can connect as many types of. So here we have MySQL. Okay. And then you can provide a string URL connection string. Okay. If you don't want to specify connection string, you can provide these parameters separately. Like I'm doing it right now. I want to connect to localhost. Port number is 3306. Root is my user, and this is my password. And then the database. So I already have Loopback database. You can see it here. This is my table. These are the tables in Loopback. Probably I can just delete Loopback so that I can show you. Okay, I don't have that. Anyways, so I'll still use loopback database. And then it says, do you want to install the connector? So we have not yet installed the MySQL connector, okay? So like I said, that the generator will help you to download the necessary component, and this is what it is doing. I can say yes, it will go ahead and install it.
But username and password are for my MySQL username password, right?
Yep.
The same we are giving.
Correct. So the username and password in MySQL are actually dependent on the database. So we can create a database having a different username and password as that of root.
Like
Okay.
system management.
Yeah. So right now I'm putting root user ID and password, but for development it's fine. But for production we should have a separate user, not root, because root has got more power. Okay. So this has installed the loopback connector for MySQL. All right. So what we have done, we have created an application, created a data source, but not the model as it. Right. So let's go in. Yeah. So this is good to see. Let's see this. What it has done. It has actually added a new configuration here. So all that you have done over there, it has done two things. One is added the configuration here. Second, it has downloaded the connector also. So if you don't do it from there, and if you do it from here, you need to do the connector installation yourself. All right. So once you're done with this, this is how we map. So models are here, and data source that we specified in the configuration are here, and connectors. So connectors are actually connecting us to different databases or REST APIs and memory. Okay. Okay. Let's jump to the model. The command that we want to issue is LB model. Okay. And it's creating a coffee shop. Okay. So let me actually drop coffee shop. Coffee shop. Oh, all right, so if we see the table, we don't have coffee shop table here. So
model is nothing but a table only.
Yeah, model, if you map to a relational database, yes, it is a table. If you map to MongoDB, for example, it could be a collection.
Okay.
Yep. Model is nothing but an entity, right? So
we can use for different purposes.
Correct. We can use for it. Could be a memory-based entity also, right? If it is memory-based, then it will not have table. You can say LV model, and then it will ask you the name of the model and the properties that you want to define, right? So name of the model, like we have said, generally we should keep, the what do you call sentence case. The sentence case is this first letter capital and every other letter capital.
Camel case.
No, this is not camel case. Camel case is when you put up a small c.
Okay, what is
Proper case. Title case.
Proper case.
Whatever case. So you have two data sources already defined, right? So it will ask you which data source you want to save it in. All right. So I've selected MySQL DS. Now it is asking you that your model base class, what it should be. So it could be anything that you want to declare. So the model is a simple persistent model, or it could be an access right model. It could be an application model, anything. So right now, because we just wanted to save the data in the data as a simple model, we'll say persistent model. Okay. And then this is the magical command. It says expose coffee shop via REST API. We'll say yes. To say yes, you just need to say enter. Yeah. So custom plural form. So sometimes you need a different plural format, like suppose person, right? Person in plural, you want to say, let's say people, okay? So wherever in the REST APIs, you go by those nomenclature, then you would need this as a separate plural form. So if you have some plural form, you can specify the say yes. Okay, and then where do you want to keep this model? Yeah, this is called isomorphic loopback, wherein we are specifying a model which would be shared in between client and server, right? If that is the case, you should say common. If you want to keep a model onto the server itself, then you can say server, all right? Obviously, there is no client-specific model here. Yeah, so we have added coffee shop. And of course, coffee shop should have some properties. So let's say coffee shop name, they all should be in smaller case. What type of property it would be? String property. Is it going to be required property? If you say required, then it will not allow you to save until as you specify any. Right? Yeah, no null values. That's right. Is there any default value? Right. So suppose you are saving price. Default value could be 0. Right. So I would say no. There is no default value. That's it. That is for one property, and you have to keep on repeating for different properties. Okay. So for example,
in case after created, we want to change any of the property,
you can still do that. So that is another command where you say LB property name, LB property.
Oh.
Right. You can just issue that, and that will help you. So as you can also see here, loopback property. Right. So it is invoking loopback property here actually, and then you can specify, okay, address also should be string. Required, I would say yes, required, and no default value. When you are done with specifying a property, you can just say enter in the property name, and that's all. All right, it's all closed. Let's see what are the changes it has made. So in model config, we have got an additional model here. Okay, public true means it will expose the API to the public. Okay, and the data source specified here. Where's the model? The model actually is in the common models folder here. You can see 2 files here. You can go to a JSON file and you can see your name model, base class, and then properties here, right? And the access and the relation and the validation is all over here, right? You can just specify that, okay, I want to allow user or deny user. You have to just specify here, and that will be done. Okay. Right. So we have specified coffee shop. Okay. And yes, your API is ready. You can just run your server. You say node 0. So this is your server endpoint, but there is a special endpoint to see okay, you cannot see this window. So what it does, it actually creates a Swagger documentation for your API as well. Okay. So you have added a new coffee shop, and these are the endpoints that you have. Get coffee shop, okay, to get the persisted coffee shops. A post for a coffee shop, okay. And then if you want a specific coffee shop, you can do that. You want to update a specific coffee shop, you can do that here. You want to check whether this exists or not exists, okay. You want to replace it, count, find one. And all these are with special filters, like suppose you should get, you can specify a filter here. So for example, you want to say where name equals to something, you can just specify a filter, it will work accordingly. So this is a Swagger documentation for API. So your API is created. All right. Let's see the table. We still don't have table here. Okay. Why? Because of this reason. So not every type of data source has idea about the models as yet unless you migrate. So what you have to do is you have to write a good script for auto migration. What it will do is you can migrate your model to a data source, and then from there itself it will start tracking it. Okay. And there is a script here already. Let me help you with that. So I'll say, new file, and I already have that script in here. That script is provided in the documentation. So even if you don't know about that, it's okay.
That is a standard
Standard script, yes. Right. So this is the script. I can actually tell you what this script is doing. So you are, of course, you're referring to your models. See, all the models are referred here. Oh, why this guy is not going on? See, you're saying model config and you're saying data source config, and you're picking up all the models using object keys and then going through the data sources that it defines, and then you're pushing, right? And you're processing the data in asynchronous fashion. So this is what it is doing. You can just save this script in your boot directory and you'll be done. So let's say I say auto migrate. So by the way, how can I show you? In the last line here, what operation you want to perform, you have to just put in. So you can see that operation type is going here. You can say auto migrate and auto update. So these are two things, auto migrate and auto update. Auto migrate means
auto update, and
they are operation names. Yeah. So Loopback understand them. What do you want to do? You have to specify what you want to do actually. So auto migrate means obviously it will create the tables from the scratch. Even if the table is there, it will drop it and then it will create from the scratch. So which means that if you keep on doing it, you will start losing your data. Right? Every time your server is fired up, data is gone. Right? So you can use in that case you can use auto update. Right? So auto update. So auto migrate is generally used in case of development is going on. Once the development is over, you switch it to auto update, because when you are developing, you might not need old data every time, right? And once you define all your models, then probably you can skip this part. You can directly issue auto update. So for us here, like we have not done as yet, even for once, I'm putting auto update here. Script name could be anything. Okay, the file name could be anything, and you need to just restart your server. Once you do it, you will see all the migrations will happen, right? And then you will see your own model as well. All right. And here, sorry, here, if you run the same command, you can see coffee shop now. Okay. Even you can say describe coffee shop. So you can see ID is by default added by Loopback, and then you have name and address that you have specified already. All right.
How are we managing the constraints of the constraints? How are we going to manage?
Like
it is a unique, and name should be unique.
Yeah.
And like composite, like name and ID should be from the two fields should be unique. So how are we going to make sure the composite primary key?
Yeah. So
DB level things.
Yeah. So which are DB level things? So see, you need to understand that Loopback supports multiple of data sources, right? And it has got loopback data types. Does not support database level data types. Okay, it supports loopback based data types. Okay, probably I can give you a link where you can study about loopback data types. Now, loopback data types has got some characteristics. Okay, so suppose if you say a property which you want to add, like for example auto increment, right? Then you cannot do this. Okay, how you can do it? You can create your own migration script and you can do this action over there.
You have to write that logic over in the loopback.
Yes, you have to write your logic here itself and then it will perform that. But as by default, it supports those common data types which are across the DB, right? And that is how it is supporting multiple of DBs, right? If it starts supporting one of them as in specifics, then it would be too difficult to support all of them. Does that answer?
And like relationships between the two tables also will be managed with Loopback.
Yeah, that's right. It will be managed by, yes.
So we have to write that multiple models will be there, like relations.
Yes, right. So there is another generator called LB relation, and you can develop a relation between two models. It can be belongs to, it has many, it can be has one, it can be any other relationship. Once you specify that relationship and you start fetching your data, it will come accordingly. The data will also come accordingly. You don't have to specify inner join or outer join or something.
And the model, so we define like a validation. So we do a field level validation.
Yes.
So how are we going to?
Yeah, so it will come. Oh, we are not going to cover in the sessions. We have only 2 sessions, okay, to cover loopback, right? So I'll walk you through the main major steps, and of course it has got, like I told you, that this is not only a one particular framework. It has got ecosystem of frameworks. Lot of their things are there. Wherever you want to dig deep, you can.
Predefined validations.
Yeah, there are validators predefined as well, and you can write on your own. Anything which is there, it's open source, so you can also define your own. Okay, so access level control also. So access level control, like for everyone, for owner or authenticated user, there are constants. You can just put those constants and that is done. If you want to define your own, for example, in a school, there could be a principal, a teacher, a clerk, a student, okay? They don't fit into the regular authenticated, non-authenticated. They can have different permissions. So you can define your own framework and start using them as constants, right? You can do that. So that is the power of open source. So you can actually build your own on top of the ones that they are defined. We'll cover authentication in the next session. All right, and then you can see. Okay, where we were. All right, I think we are almost at the end of it.
So we can get custom APIs from all right here.
Yes, so these are your own model only.
So these are already predefined.
No, this is the one that you have created. Coffee shop.
Means I created just a model, right? Not the APIs. I just
Yeah.
created a model.
Right. So on the basis of that model, all the CRUD operations that are regular, okay, mostly used, are already presented. You can start using. You don't have to create all the APIs. You can create special APIs. Special APIs for example, you want to upload a file, right? Now, upload file might be there with a connector, okay, but without connector, there is no upload file here. Right? In coffee shop, if you want to attach an image, right, that's not there. So you have to write down your own method for that, right? But there also Loopback does not drop you, right? It specifies a way of writing a remote method. So you can specify anything in the remote method. Till the access level controls you can assign to it, validators you can assign to it, and you can say what it actually accepts and returns. And the documentation will be done by itself automatically. You don't have to write down your documentation. Right? Okay. I just wanted to test it. Let's see. Shotgun. I'm just putting in. Let's Bangalore. Obviously, ID we don't have to assign; it will assign on its own. Let's try out. So the response code says 200 means success. Okay, let's validate whether this guy is making us full.
Yes, sir.
Anything. Database is all not case sensitive. You can see, right? The data is here. So you have done like created an application, created a data source. That is all one time. Okay. Then you have created a model, right? Model you have to do for each and every entity, right? And then there would be some possible configurations, and then you're done. Your API is ready to fire.
Model can be anything. Now it is here. It is what kind of model it is?
Persisted model. That's the base class of it. You can anytime change it actually. All right. So if you go back, your model config here. If you see, the data sources are assigned to it, right? For example, message does not have a data source. Okay, let's say specify DB here. Okay. Now, what is DB? If you see DB here is actually a memory data source, right? Let's fire in the server again. Okay, going back to this. And Swagger actually supports your access token also, by the way. So if you want to test the authenticated routes, then you can set your token over there. You need to just copy paste the token here and say set access token. Now from where the token will come? Token will come from here, from the user, right? You need to just log in using a user. Obviously, you cannot do it right now because we don't have any user created as such. So there is another script for creating one user. I'll tell you in the next session. And once you have, then you can get the access token from here, and then you can put in access token, set access token, and then you are authenticated, and you can fire up any authenticated routes. Okay. All right. So messages. So okay, we have only get over here because probably we have specified only get here. So we don't have.
Copy is a model, and under that, what is message?
No. It's not under. It's a separate
That
model.
is separate one.
Yeah. Let me see what it has created. Okay. So actually, there is a remote method. Okay. Like I was telling you that you can specify a remote method. You can even remote method. You can specify like that, and then it can actually give you all this.
So if you want to write a remote logic, how are we going to write?
So that is what I was telling you, that it has actually created a remote method here, all by config. Okay, nothing else. But you can specifically write down remote method. Like I show you another example that I'm developing an application on the basis of it. See this. I'm writing an application wherein you can create projects on the fly on a platform. Okay. So when you create a project, you can fetch the project from a Git repository, and then it will create the repository. Sorry, it will create a folder, it will fetch in the repository, it will run npm install, it will run bar install. Okay. So now for that, obviously the CRUD model is not good enough. So I have to write down my own remote method. So here is the remote method that I have done. In this case, I'm checking whether directory already exists. If not, it's coming here, it's creating a directory. Using this, I'm cloning the repository, and then I'm going in to do npm install, and then I'm going in to do var install. And this is only a function, all right? This is only a function. And this is defining a remote method. Okay, I can create my own functions. I can create multiple functions on my model. So this is I've created on model. Project is my model. Okay, but if I don't declare a remote method, it won't be exposed to outside world as an API. As soon as you do it like this, it gets actually exposed to APIs. Okay, and then you in this case you can tell each and everything that you want to specify, like, you know, like I've done for this one. Oh, okay. Accepts and returns. I can specify that what I'm going to expect as name of project, and it should be an object, and should be in the HTTP body part, not in the headers. And then what I'm going to return is access success, which is going to be true or false. Okay. So I can declare my own remote methods. And there is a documentation around them. So you can anytime go to Loopback.io. You can go to Redux. Obviously take the 3.0, which is current production release. And there are things here. Okay. I'm just showing you because we are not going to cover each and everything here, but yeah, we'll try to cover a lot of other things. Okay, coming back here, this is the next session going to be, which is authentication, authorization, and permissions, and obviously how to debug, right? You should know how to debug. If you know how to debug, you can obviously learn new things, you can implement new ideas, and then will not be left alone. And then we'll also touch base on Angular SDK. All right. All right. Thank you. Any question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Any question on Zoom conference? People who have joined in Zoom. Any question? All right, then I'm taking time now. Okay, bye-bye.